Lloydie, something that's piqued your interest this week is the different approach to the wonderful milestones of two absolute champions of our game, Dustin Martin at Richmond and Scott Pendlebury at Collingwood.
Yeah, in the next 7 weeks, Ed, we're celebrating two of the most remarkable careers. In 7 weeks' time, Scott Pendlebury will play his 400th game for the Collingwood Football Club, and in 3 weeks' time, we'll be celebrating Dustin Martin's 300th. And I think Dusty's got the, I'd say, the accolades, the most enviable accolades in my opinion, because he may not have the best and fairest of some or the premierships of some, but 3 Norm Smiths, to me, you'd nearly take over any record that the game has ever seen. And rather than celebrating what is about to come, he's just been under siege, more so of his career than I've ever seen before. So Mick McGowan come out in the last 24 hours and said he's playing soft football. I've even spoken with Kane Corns this year around motivation. He looks disinterested. Is he working hard enough? And this is a guy that in 3 weeks' time we should be celebrating him like Scott Pendlebury, because Scott is contributing as great as we've ever seen. I think it's really sad.
Stick on Dusty for a second before we go to Scott. They're playing this week, Dreamtime at the G.
Yeah.
Okay, they've played in front of some lacklustre crowds at recent times. You've got a real message for him, haven't you?
Yeah, so my question for Richmond and all those people around is, what are we doing and what are you doing? So he's lost a very experienced senior coach in Damien Hardwick. He's lost 2 very experienced players and teammates in Jack Revolt and Trent Cotchin. These are Peggy O'Neill. There's other people that, Brendan's about to leave. He's got an unconventional manager in Ralph Carr. And so I'd be going to Dusty and tapping in and say, this is like the biggest game. This is the biggest crowd you'll be playing in front of. You're a big game performer. 85,000 people at the MCG. Dusty hasn't played in a win yet this year. So he's 0 wins and 8 losses. I'd be trying to tap in as best I can to motivate this guy so we can celebrate him for what we should this year, not what's currently going on.
So, Lloydie, would you start him on ball then? Look, I know they've got so many injuries, Richmond. I think they've only got 23 fit players, and I know they want to play him forward because you're trying to get everybody going under Adam Uze's new regime. But would you just say, we want to see the absolute best of you, Dusty. We want to help you and get going. So start on ball each quarter. You just come up, try and win as much of the footy. Let's see the best of you in the run up to 300.
It's an interesting point, Jimmy, because I think Adam Uze can leave Dustin Martin and Shea Bolton, Damo, out of the centre, out of the midfield too often when his team isn't travelling well. So again, a young coach, how can he stimulate his best players to get into the game?
I know mostly you've just been talking about the right now with Dusty leading into the 300th and inclusive of the Dreamtime game on the weekend. What about the future, Lord? And it's why I feel that Brendan Gale, who has now announced his decision to not be at Richmond, needs to wrap it up now instantly. I say that because he can't have a question or a conversation with Dusty and says to Dusty, you should stay. And Dusty looks at him and go, well, you're not. Damien Hardwick chose to leave as well. I think that part of your point there, a lot of the people that were so important to Dusty, and you put them on the board there, are not there. And Brendan Gale is not going to be there next year as well.
Yeah, it's half the problem, I think. So what Richmond have been so good for Dustin Martin, and at a time when Dustin needs good people to get him going again, I'm just not sure they're there.
It only takes a game to switch it around. It was round 2. There were people saying that Scott Pendlebury had gone 1 year too long, and it wasn't that long ago people questioned him as a leader at the Collingwood Football Club, ridiculously so. But the difference between where Scott is at the moment and what Dusty's going through couldn't be any different, could they?
No, because I think Scott's a pro, and I think Scott's one of the most professional people that we've ever seen.
What's he like? You work with him. Yeah. I mean, I know what he's like from a captain's point of view. I agree with you. There's no one who has prepared himself better for a game of football than Scott Pendlebury.
No, and the difference is he's also got something that he's motivated for. He's only playing for a premiership. So last year, the only thing that was really driving him was a premiership. This year, the only thing that's driving him is not the 400, but to win another premiership. So Dusty's in a position at the moment, different personality, that he's not really fighting for anything. So that's where they need good people around him. But yeah, the most professional, diligent person that I've ever been involved with.